Good evening. Welcome to this, welcome to this evening's zoning board of appeals. We are the chair had to step out to take a call, and we have another member. Oh, he's back. Ryan's back. No, you're fine. So I just want to make sure we had a quorum before we got started. The chair will be here halfway as soon as his call's over. So I'm the vice chair, and I will run the meeting until he comes back. So first we have a quorum. So thank you, everyone. Happy New Year to the board and all our people in our tonight at the meeting. And I will entertain a motion for the minutes from our December meeting.
I move to approve the December minutes.
Thank you, Ellen. We have a motion to approve. A second. Second. Thank you, Tara. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed. All right, the minutes carry. Thank you. All right, organizational and procedural items. We do have the election of officers for this evening, but since our chair is has stepped away, I will entertain a motion to move this to the agenda after item number 4.
I move to move the elections to after agenda item number 4.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? All opposed? Right, motion carries. We will take care of that at the end of the meeting. All right, so now we'll get down to zoning board. We have 2 cases tonight. One is unfinished and one is new business. So before I get started on the cases, I will read what we refer to as the chairman's preamble, which for those of you in attendance tonight, it explains what the zoning board of appeals is for. The zoning board of appeals is charged with the responsibility of granting variances to ordinance requirements after determining whether there exists an undue hardship upon an applicant. In determining whether or not to grant a variance, the board shall apply the criteria specified in the City Code of Ordinances to the facts of each case. The zoning board of appeals does not create zoning, nor can it change zoning. Matters brought before the zoning board of appeals are to be concerned only with variances from requirements of the zoning ordinance, sign ordinance, and development and environmental ordinance. The board has no authority to grant variances for use, density, or height. Further, the board hears cases requesting an appeal to a staff interpretation or decision on these same ordinances. Final decisions of the zoning board of appeals may be appealed by petitioning the Superior Court of DeKalb County within 30 days after the decision is rendered. Thank you. All right, so our first case tonight is under our unfinished business. It's ZBA 22-15, Andrew Lincoln, homeowner at 5361 Redfield Circle, Dunwoody, Georgia 30338, request a variance from chapter 27, section 58 to allow encroachment into the rear setback for a home addition. If the staff will present the case.
Yes. So the first case is ZBA 22-15, and as Claire said, they're requesting a variance to allow an encroachment of 4 feet into the rear setback for a home addition. So some updates on the case. It was originally deferred at the November 3rd ZBA meeting. At the December 1st meeting, the ZBA approved the requests for the covered front porch, the covered rear porch, and the screened rear porch after the applicant reduced the original request for a rear covered porch. A public comment section was open to allow opportunities to comment for the public that was present at the meeting. There were 3 public comments in support and 7 public comments in opposition. In total, we've received 12 letters of support, 33 letters of opposition, and we've received no new letters since the December 1st ZBA meeting. These are the existing conditions as shown in the survey. A small rear portion of the existing house encroaches into the 40-foot rear setback. This photo shows the side of the house where the home addition would go. Only one request from the applicant's original project remains to be considered, and that is the proposed home addition. In a December 22nd, 2022 submittal, the applicant reduced the footprint of the proposed home addition by 84 square feet and reduced the encroachment into the rear setback from 7 feet to 4 feet. The 2-story home addition will transition into a 1-story home addition at the rear setback line. The only portion of the addition that will encroach into the rear setback will be 1 story. The 4-foot encroachment as a standalone request could be approved administratively as a special administrative permit. And the improvement is indicated in blue on the site plan to the right, and the proposed elevation is shown to the left. So on December 22nd, the applicant submitted an updated request that reduced the encroachment of the proposed home addition from 7 feet to 4 feet. At 10% of the required minimum rear yard setback, this request could have been administratively approved if it had been submitted as a standalone, but we folded it into the total variance request. Staff finds that the applicant successfully minimized their design to the necessary to afford relief, and that no alternative design option would be possible that would be less intrusive towards the setbacks. Thus, staff finds that a practical difficulty exists to construct an incremental request of this nature, and that the requested would be consistent with the spirit and purpose of the zoning ordinance. We see it as a minor improvement. Based on these reasons, staff recommends approval of the request to allow an encroachment of 4 feet into the rear setback for the construction of a home addition, subject to the following conditions shown on the screen here, and I'm available for questions.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so we're going to have the applicant speak, and then we'll have time for anyone in the audience who's in favor or against the variance. So the applicant will come forward, state your name and your address, please.
Andrew and Stephanie Lincoln, 5361 Redfield Circle. I know everyone will be upset that this will be a lot shorter of a presentation than last time. Most importantly, we really appreciate the board allowing us a chance to provide an alternative garage addition plan. And as Allegra stated, our house, as it was originally built in the 70s, was already 2 to 10 feet into the setback. And after the last meeting we had in December, we heard your feedback, went back to the drawing board and revised our proposed addition to where it only encroaches between 2 and 4 feet into the setback as opposed to 7. And as she pointed out, it's could have been administratively approved, but we wanted to just come today and show you that we've pushed it forward a good deal to achieve the compromise and still have it just pushed back slightly from the house, enough for the cars to pull out safely, and put it in line with the other garage additions in the neighborhood, consistent with those pictures that we provided last time. So we just appreciate your consideration here, and we hope that the alternative meets with your approval, and we're happy to answer any questions as well.
All right, thank you. We'll let you know if we have any questions a little bit. You're welcome. All right, was there anyone here this evening that would like to speak in favor of the variance? I'll stand up. Oh, yes, of course. Oh, yes, okay. One question for staff. The comments are 10 there's 10 minutes for, 10 minutes for comments for the applicant and 10 against, but that's standard in zoning. You say we have to have,
It's because the case is technically continued,
Oh,
so
I'm
the
sorry.
original public.
we have to open it again, the time's out.
Right,
Okay, so
yeah.
thank you for clarifying. I wasn't sure why I needed that. So I need to, because we're revisiting the case, we have already used the allotted time for comments. So we have to make a motion to allow for an additional 10 minutes for and 10 minutes against the variance. So we can have public comment. So I'll entertain a motion if that is possible.
I'll make a motion to approve comments.
Second. Thank you, Ryan. All right, all in favor? All right, all opposed? No one's opposed. All right, thank you. Thank you for your clarification from that. All right, so I have I have a Sam Schlam in favor. Is Mr. Schlam here? If you'll come forward and state your name and address.
Hello, my name's Sam Schlam. I live at 5012 Tilly Mill Road, Dunwoody, Georgia, 30338. I just want to come and show support for Stephanie and Andrew. When we found out that they were moving here, beginning of COVID for his work, I definitely called Stephanie up immediately, told her about Dunwoody, how much I love living here, and how I think when they come look at places in Atlanta, Dunwoody should be a place that they look at. And you know, they definitely didn't have all the choices in the world of houses because of the way the market was at the time. And fortunate for boards like this that give them the opportunity to work through issues that come up like with property lines. That I just want to say they're good people. They are going to be good for Dunwoody, and boards that let things like this happen are good for the overall value of Dunwoody houses. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I have Brooks O'Kelly would also like to speak in favor. Thank you. Name and address for the record.
Sure. My name is Brooks O'Kelly. I live at 5354 Redfield Circle, Dunwoody. I'm just 2 doors down from the Lincolns. I don't have a lot to say other than I support, the approval of this variance. I mean, I know, I've lived in Redfield, lived in Dunwoody since 2003. Seen a lot of houses kind of do this same thing. Not that it, expand out with the garage, and it always looks nice. So that's it, just in support of that.
All right, thank you very much. All right, is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of the variance? If you are, I'll recognize the man in gray who raised his hand first. We'll get man in blue in just a second. If you'll come forward. No, the man in gray. I don't see hair. Name and address, please.
My name is Trey Lida. I live at 5368 Redfield Circle. We are literally straight across the street. I just wanted to show my support and kind of say that they're some of the best neighbors in the world, and I don't want to lose them. And I'm talking to you guys, and just everybody in the neighborhood's done something to their house. Everybody. I mean, it's obvious. And the one next to us is almost like a McMansion. It's huge. They tore down the house this exact size as ours, blew it up, huge, and no one complained about it. So this is like something that's kind of like, I just want to show my support. All right, that's all I want to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Lida in the gray. All right, and then there's a young man in support. Yeah. I don't see age either.
Start off well. My name is Munir Taherbai. I live at 5369 Redfield Circle. Listen, I'm probably the most affected by what they're going to do. And I've told him, short of him putting neon can dancing girls upon his roof, I'm okay with it. I just think we're way too polarized in every facet of life. Let them live their life. They're not doing anything that egregious. I mean, for God's sakes, like you just said, across from me, there's an ode to ostentatiousness. Someone who just pulled down their house and rebuild it. These guys just getting an extension done, for God's sake. So really, I'm here in support. Great guys. Give them a break. Thanks.
Thank you very much. All right, is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of the variance? All right, so is there anyone who'd like to speak in opposition of the variance? All right, then I will close the public portion of for the case, and we will discuss it as a board. Go ahead. Who has a question?
I have a question, and it's really a clarification. I don't know if the Lincolns can clarify it, or I don't know if the contractors here, it may not matter. But it's concerning, or I just wanted to get a clarification on, and by the way, let me state, I appreciate the efforts that you all went to revise your plans. It shows a great amount of collaboration, and I appreciate that, so thank you. The new addition, I read in the notes that it goes from a 2-story to a 1-story at the setback line, and then it extends into the setback between 2.5 feet on one side and 4 feet on the other side. But what I'm not quite understanding is if that drop from 2-story to 1-story happens right at the setback line, and then the extension into the setback is at its minimum 2.5 feet. That's like this much.
That's all it's going into the setback at some points in the setback.
So, and that's fantastic that it only extends this much, but I'm just curious if the drop from 2-story to 1-story happens right at that setback line, and yeah, if you can. So I'm just curious, like I would imagine if you're going to have a portion of that extension that is just 1-story, that it would need to be, and if that 1-story starts at the setback line and extends 2.5 feet into the setback, that's only like this much. So does the 2-story to 1-story transition happen actually before the setback line, and maybe the description that was provided to us was not quite accurate? Or
Maybe Andrew.
So are you asking, is there anything 2-story within the setback? Is that what you're asking?
yes,
There's nothing
not.
2-story within the setback.
Right.
Everything
Okay.
within the setback is 1
Is
story.
it's just 1-story. So it must be that, goodness. Is it my mic? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
know.
sorry
I
for
see the
that.
sound engineer moving.
No worries. So I guess that it goes from 2-story to 1-story prior to the setback. Okay, then what I had read in the revision must not have been entirely accurate. I just couldn't understand, and I just wanted a clarification. I couldn't understand how what I was reading, I was thinking there was only going to be this much to this much of a 1-story roof in this.
Everything within the setback is 1 story.
No, that I understand.
But since the house is at an angle with the setback, it's no more than 4 feet at its deepest point into the setback. And then on the other end, it's 2.5 feet.
Right, that I understand as well. There
Okay.
was, I don't know who wrote it or who provided the information, but it said that the transition from 2-story to 1-story happens at the setback line.
Okay, it's not on an angle. if
It
that's what you're
happens,
asking.
then it happens before the setback line.
Just before it.
Okay,
Correct. That's correct. When it does not transition to 2 stories until it's appropriate for it to do that, which is outside of the rear setback.
okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Does
Thank
that,
you.
yeah, sorry about the confusion.
I don't, it's all right. I just wanted to understand. Thank you.
I just had a question for staff about the administrative piece of this. This wouldn't have even been triggered if it could have been done administratively, is that right? Or some kind of, can you
Right, so
explain that, please?
Yes, yeah, so it could have been done administratively because it's 10% of the rear setback. But the original request was more than 10% of the rear setback. It was also 2-story in the rear setback, and then it was just all folded into the variance together. So at this point, we have no way to do it administratively because it already went before you all.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion. I like to move to approve the request for a variance from section 27-58 to allow encroachment of 4 feet into the rear setback for a home addition, subject to conditions presented by staff. Construction of home addition must be in substantial compliance with the submitted site plan prepared by Woodruff Design Associates and last revised 12/15/2022, see Appendix A. The portion of the home addition that encroaches into the rear setback shall only be 1 story. If construction is not commenced within 2 years of the granting of this variance, approval shall be void.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? All opposed? All right. Motion carries. You have your variance. You don't have to come here next month. And with that, I will turn the chairmanship back to the chair.
Okay, thank you. Well done, everyone. We proceed to ZBA 22-19, Charles and Kate Davis, homeowners at 1199 Winter Hall Lane, seek 2 variances. One, from chapter 16, section 78, to allow a pool, retaining walls, and associated improvements to encroach into the 75-foot stream buffer. And 1 variance from chapter 27, section 269, to allow a retaining wall to encroach into the side setback and retaining wall height up to 8 feet. Staff, would you run through that for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So they're requesting a stream buffer variance to build a pool, retaining walls and associated improvements, and then a zoning ordinance variance to build a retaining wall in the side setback and allow its height to be up to 8 feet. They do not need a zoning ordinance variance for the pool. These are the existing conditions as shown in the photos to the left. Approximately half of the property is covered by stream buffers as shown with the red line in the survey to the right. A small portion of the existing house and an existing screen porch and deck are in the 75-foot stream buffer. There's a 30-foot colonial gas line easement in the rear yard. The proposed project will not encroach into that. And then the property falls approximately 20 feet from the northern property line to the southern property line. The applicants propose to construct a 740 square foot pool and a new pool deck and a paver patio. The pool, the deck, and paver patio will be entirely in the stream buffer and will extend an approximate 15 feet beyond the existing home. The maximum encroachment into the buffer will be up to approximately 45 feet. The applicants also propose to remove an existing drive and steps and construct 2 4-foot retaining walls and a dry creek. The retaining walls and associated improvements will be located entirely in the stream buffer and will encroach into the side setback. Should all variance requests be granted, the subject property which would achieve the maximum allowed lot coverage of 40%. Since there are 2 different sets of review and approval criteria, I'll start with the zoning ordinance ones and then I'll address the stream buffer ones separately. So of the requests, only the retaining walls require a setback variance as well as permission to exceed 4 feet in height. Again, the pool does not need a variance from requirements of the zoning ordinance. It's allowed to encroach into the rear setback without a variance. The subject property falls from the front of the property towards the rear by approximately 20 feet, thus creating the unique conditions that require retaining walls to achieve a usable backyard. 2 walls will replace a staircase that currently leads from the side yard into the rear yard. Neither of the proposed walls will exceed 4 feet in height, which would typically be allowed by right. However, in combination, they function as a tiered system, more similar to an 8-foot wall. Relief is also required because the walls are located in the side setback. If no other relief was required, both the request to encroach into the side setback and the request to exceed 4 feet in height could have been considered administratively. In this case, because of the parallel stream buffer variance, we're all rolling it into one case. Using 2 smaller walls as opposed to 1 8-foot wall reduces the impact on surrounding properties, and staff finds that the applicant does not go beyond the minimum necessary to afford relief in their request. The proposed walls are addressing an existing drainage issue that is causing erosion impacts and are replacing an existing improvement in the same location. Not granting the applicant the opportunity to address the stormwater concern would create a potential hardship for the applicant. The applicant is not proposing to substantially regrade the lot with the proposed improvements. They're limiting the impact on the subject property as well as on neighbors' lots. Thus, staff finds that the project does not go beyond the minimum necessary to provide relief, and that the small dry creek bed may properly channel runoff from the front yard and disperse it around the retaining walls, thus improving it. The applicant proposes to remove the existing staircase, which will remove more impervious surface than what will be replaced. And so staff finds no detriment to public health, safety, or welfare. So the stream buffer part of the application consists of 2 separate projects. So the first one is the demolition of an existing drive and staircase and the construction of the retaining walls and an associated new dry creek bed. And the second one is the construction of a new pool deck, and paver patio to the rear of the house. So the proposed retaining walls are incremental improvements that allow the continued use of the subject property while preventing hardships on the applicants, and again, do not go beyond the minimum necessary to afford relief. They're replacing existing impervious surface, so not having a huge impact there. However, at over 700 square feet, staff finds that the proposed pool is relatively large and constitutes the biggest part of the increased impervious surface. The pool is also the closest to the stream and is most likely to create negative impacts. Thus, staff finds that the proposed development in its entirety goes beyond the minimum necessary to afford relief. Due to the pipeline easement and the stream buffer, none of the other similarly situated houses along Winter Hall have a swimming pool. So staff finds that the stream buffer variance for the pool would constitute a special privilege inconsistent with the limitations upon other similarly situated properties. In staff's opinion, even without the swimming pool, the residents enjoy the opportunity to utilize the property for its intended purpose as a residence. Based on these reasons, staff recommends denial of the request for a swimming pool, pool decking, and paver patio to encroach into the 75-foot stream buffer. The staff does recommend approval of the request for the retaining walls to encroach into the side setback and to allow their height to be up to 8 feet. And staff also recommends approval of the request for the same retaining walls, the removal of the steps and associated improvements, and a dry creek bed improvement to encroach into the 75-foot stream buffer, subject to the following conditions shown on the screen here. I'm available for any questions.
Great, thank you. Any immediate questions for staff? Not yet. Would the Davises or their representative care to state their case in front of the board? Come to the podium, please, and state your name and address.
Hi, good evening. I'm Kate Davis, and forgive me, this is not my normal day to day, so the shakiness, just ignore. I'm Kate Davis, homeowner at 1199 Winter Hall Lane. It's my husband, Charles Davis, my 2 kids, Cooper and Becca Davis. Essentially, my family and I would like to put in a backyard pool and correct some ongoing drainage issues in our yard so we can fully use our home for years to come. Our children are 11 and 9 years old, and as they grow older, we feel that it would be the best way to keep them close to home and also utilize our backyard. The Winter Hall Community Pool is located across Shamley, Dunwoody, and Roberts Drive. Trying to walk or ride a bike there can be dangerous, so a backyard pool would be ideal. However, our entire backyard is within the 75-foot stream buffer, which is why we're here tonight. Through this process, I've found that it's important to understand types of streams, and you all may be very familiar with this, but I did some research and I just find it interesting that there are 3 types of streams: perennial, intermittent, and ephemeral. Perennial streams flow continuously with surface water throughout the year. Intermittent streams have flowing water only at certain times in the year. And ephemeral streams flow only during short durations after precipitation events. The stream behind our home, I believe, is an ephemeral stream. I state this because we have lived in our home for over 10 years, and the only time we have flowing water in the stream is during heavy rainfall. On the Dunwoody Smart Map, and I'm not sure how this goes, am I allowed to give you guys some maps that I just printed out as reference, or should I wait till I'm done? Is there, I didn't know.
Wait till you're done, but either way.
Okay,
actually.
well, I have on the Dunwoody Smart Map, and I've printed it out if it's helpful or not. It shows the stream behind my home as a dry open channel, which I believe is referring to an ephemeral stream. I haven't received clear definition from the city on this. This is something that I've come to understand in the last few days. So I'm not saying the city hasn't answered, but we haven't had time to fully go through this. So in the Dunwoody Land Development Regulation, section 1678, which is the variance we're requesting, it states that stream buffers are established along all perennial and intermittent streams in the city. This regulation doesn't apply to ephemeral streams. So this is where my question lies. And regardless, we are good Dunwoody citizens. We want to go by whatever we're being told we need to do. They're saying we need a variance for this, and so we're going forward with it. But I do feel like it's relevant information to fully understand what is behind my house and what we're protecting. We are a very environmentally friendly family. We want to protect the environment and our property. The improvements we are proposing will mitigate sediment and erosion from our property. The improvements will also increase home value and Dunwoody property values. Our immediate neighbors have expressed support for our project. The city has told me their main concerns, which we kind of already addressed, but they include the additional impervious surface. However, what we are proposing doesn't exceed the maximum lot coverage of 40%. So I do not believe that we are going beyond what's necessary to build a backyard pool. The city also mentions the pipeline easement in their memo, but what we are proposing doesn't encroach upon the pipeline easement, so I don't feel like that's relevant. And lastly, the city expressed concern over the excavation process. We are using a very reputable pool company. It's Hurston Luxury Pools, and I've got Brad Renkin here tonight to help with any other questions you might have about that. But he's built pools in Dunwoody and built pools within stream buffers. So I feel like they've assured me that they're going to control any erosion, silt fencing, minimize any disturbance of settlement. There is also a neighbor 4 doors down from me at 1229 Winter Hall Lane, who has a pool in Winter Hall, not on the stream buffer, but 4 doors down from me. And I have also found at least 7 other properties within the Branches neighborhood that is on the other side of the stream from us that have pools and back up to the stream buffer. And I have a map of that as well if y'all are interested in seeing it. And I did find it interesting, even the Branches swim and tennis community, which is very large, is surrounded on 3 sides by the stream. So to summarize, we believe our property is not on a perennial or intermittent stream that requires variances. We are not requesting special privileges inconsistent with neighbors as staff has suggested. Although our immediate neighbors don't have pools, there are many backyard pools in Dunwoody that don't create negative impacts on streams or the surrounding environment. So thank you for your time, consideration.
Sure, thank you. Is there anyone present to speak in opposition of this? I'm sorry, you want to add to your? Yeah, sure, you still have time left. Absolutely.
My name is Brad Rankin. I'm the owner and lead designer of Hearthstone Luxury Pools. It's my pleasure to address you tonight. In reference to Kate's project, we spent quite a bit of time going back and forth. I am very pleased to have done quite a bit of work in Dunwoody. We're very respectful of the process and of course, any and all easements and setbacks and conditions that might apply. I appreciate the attention that Allegra and staff gave to looking at this and gave serious thought into to whether or not this should be recommended. In correspondence between Kate and Allegra, I think that 2 main issues from staff were put forth. Those 2 main issues being the additional impervious, so any additional rainwater runoff that might put pressure on the stream, and then second, any during construction activities, any erosion that might put pressure on that area. So I didn't hear anything other than those 2 primary issues. So I at least wanted to address from my perspective as a designer or builder, how those might be assessed. Primarily the runoff. Now I know we're in Dunwoody, we're not in Cobb County. Cobb County looks at the body of water as a buffer to rainwater, and they don't even count the body of water, against the total impervious surface because it acts as a buffer to additional rainwater that may overrun a stream. It slows it down, which is the main point of impervious calculations in the first place. In addition, there's many other mitigation issues that we would like to, or would be willing to do, such as flow wells or underground rainwater reclamation areas to, again, help reduce impact on the stream when it is raining. Concerning the erosion comment, I'm a blue card carrying erosion contractor. We follow best practices, and of course, when it comes to construction and the permitting process, we're given very specific rules on where to place silt fence, additional BMPs and additional best practices. Okay, so and those will of course be inspected as we go along. And we want to maintain our reputation here in Dunwoody. And so we will do so by making sure that no sediment makes it into the stream during the course of construction. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Once again, do we have anyone to speak in opposition of this variance tonight? Okay. With that, I'll close the public comment and open up for more discussion. Questions?
I know the applicant said they had some handouts. You're welcome to hand them out. We forgot before you walked away, so. Do we have time if there's more people that want to speak in favor?
Paul, do we have time for another in favor? Is that what you have? Someone to speak? Looks like that's fine. Yeah, okay.
I'd like to make the motion to open the public comments for ZBA 22-19 again.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, opening back up?
Approved.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so we have two public comment cards here. Are you Nina or Elizabeth? You Nina, okay.
Yes. Hi, good evening. Thank you. We apologize. When you asked to speak in opposition, we did not raise our hand because we were going to speak for. So thank you for reopening the floor. My name is Nina Arnold. I am a neighbor to the Davis property at 1190 Winter Hall Lane. And I'm proud to speak here for behalf of their project. I hope that you all will be able to allow their variance so that they can put in this pool. I can tell you, we have also lived there just over 10 years along with the Davises. So I can bear witness to the fact that they've done nothing
Okay, we're going to resume the meeting. Thank you all for your patience. Well, sorry. We're almost back in the meeting. Uh-oh. Join this panelist.
Are we up?
Yes. Excellent. We'll resume the meeting. So there were no opposition. We had the applicant spoke, and so did their proponents of their variance. So now we've closed the proceedings to board discussion. Board, any questions to the staff? I think there might be a few regarding streams, et cetera.
I actually have a couple of questions for staff. First of all, just out of curiosity, what would be an average size pool in Dunwoody?
That's a really good question. It kind of varies and it sort of depends whether you include like the decking around the pool or just the pool, a few hundred square feet at least.
Okay, so this is 700 square feet.
It's a little over 700 square feet, correct?
So few hundred
I think it's within the range that
average.
Yes,
Okay.
it might be on the higher end of things. But what's really unique about it is its location in the stream buffer.
Right. Okay. So my other question is the types of streams. I know that the applicant said there were 3 and that the one they suspect that their stream is not noted in the ordinance. Is that?
So our determination is that the stream is an intermittent stream, and the stream buffer rules do apply to that. Intermittent streams have more well-defined channels than ephemeral streams, and they also have rested vegetation.
And I can talk a bit more in detail about the sort of from the administrative side, because these are what we consider sort of waters of the state. So they're state regulated. The state considers those types of waters regulated and others it doesn't. We had hired an environmental engineering firm a couple of years back that literally walked every stream in the city of Dunwoody and then pinpointed where it starts. So they went and made a determination that it starts at a specific place, that it turns from something that is more ephemeral to like an intermittent stream at that point. And from time to time, we have sort of property owners, because things change, right? Things change in the city of Dunwoody. We have sort of property owners that have a different interpretation. And then what we generally ask them to do is to hire sort of an environmental engineer that assesses this situation sort of with from an expert point of view. And then we'll certainly send our engineers out and make a different determination. But as of this point, we don't have reason to believe that it's not. Like our engineer went out there and he thinks it's an intermittent stream also.
Okay. So you've already sent somebody from the city out. Okay. Okay.
Just a question for staff. So there were a couple different things here. We're right at the limit for the impervious surface, right around 40%. So that's kind of the one thing there, but it's really the main concern is it's in the stream buffer and you're building more impervious surface to an existing. I mean, to me, I know the pool size was asked earlier, but that's not really, I know it was asked earlier, but that's not even really a concern. It seems like versus just building in the stream buffer as it exists today a lot. Is that correct?
Correct. So it is a concern in that we think that the size generally of impervious surface in the stream buffer is a little beyond what we would want to.
And then I know we mentioned the Colonial Pipeline was mentioned a few times. That is a pretty significant pipeline. It runs numerous states. It was shut down when we had gas shortages a few years ago. It's not it's part of, it was noted on the, on the footprints and everything like that, but it's not a part of this project per se. So let's just, I mean, what is the significance of you guys mentioning it in your report? Can you kind of describe that a little bit more
Yeah.
aside from it being there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to clarify because I think there was some confusion around it. So that's just, we mention it as an existing condition. Obviously, they can't build within it. So, it doesn't affect this project because they have to stay out of it. They cannot encroach into it. But we just mention it as an existing condition on the site and a unique aspect of the property.
Okay, and then a few slides back, there was I don't know if it was on the first existing versus the before versus the after, where it was there's a red line, which is the impervious setback, right? That's the actual buffer, right? It's running through the house.
Yep.
Or the back edge of the house. The black line below at the bottom that's shaped, kind of like a bowl. What is that representative of?
Yes, so that is an existing retaining wall.
Okay, exists today.
Yes,
Okay.
correct. It would be removed, or part of it would be removed as a part of the project in order to construct the pool.
Okay, thanks.
I have one question. You mentioned, and I believe, I just want to make sure I heard it correctly. So when we were talking about the retaining wall, the side setback, you mentioned that you have no problem with the impervious surface. And did you mean just for that setback because of the stairs? So I just want to make sure I heard it correctly.
Yeah, so we have no problem with the impervious surface for the retaining wall. It's going to be less impervious than what's currently existing there. And there's some other improvements that we don't think are that major as far as impervious surface goes.
Okay, but the total calculation with the pool, it subtracts out what happened when the stairs came out.
Yeah.
So it's the full property is now at 40% with both of these variants. If both variances were granted, we're at 40%.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And 40 is right at their maximum, so no need for variance, but they would be at
Correct.
their limit.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to, before you leave, I want to go back to that block wall one more time.
Yeah.
And that's the before, go back to the other slide we were just on, please. And that's the after. You said that block wall is being redone, is that correct?
So the retaining wall that's indicated in the dark black line here.
Yes.
Yeah, so as you can see here, like a portion of it will stay the same and then a portion of it will go away right where the pool starts, basically.
But portion or no portion, you're still building in that easement, is that correct? The colonial pipeline easement?
No, so so it's a bit easier to see on this one, I think. The
Okay.
colonial pipeline easement is this dotted line at the bottom that says 30-foot colonial gas line easement.
Yep.
So yeah, no one's building in that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I'm sorry, Allegra, I had one other question for you.
Yeah.
If the pool were smaller and the total impervious surface were less than 40%, obviously we're still in this stream buffer, but would that change anything about staff's recommendation if maybe they were at like 30%?
So it's a bit challenging to answer just because, we sort of take in the applications that we receive and we base our determination on this. So it's a little hard to say how we would feel if it were different. All I can really say is that we feel that a project of this magnitude is just a lot of impervious surface to be putting in the stream buffer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Thanks.
For one, I'm curious as to maybe the Hearthstone pools can speak to this. I'm curious as any mitigation. You kind of referenced mitigation remedies. Maybe, I don't know if the pervious surface, granted, most of it's the pool itself, but maybe some of the decking can be different substances, make it a little more impervious, or you talked about some drainage, or can you speak to maybe some more of those mitigation strategies for the imperviousness of the property?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Tuttle. Absolutely. So when we're talking about impervious surface, not all impervious surface is created equal.
Right.
A concrete driveway would be the worst case scenario. Again, we calculate impervious surface because we're trying to protect the speed that water makes it into our tributaries. So when we're doing these calculations, we have to keep in mind what was the reason for it being there. Slowing the water down is primarily important. The pool itself, the reason I mentioned that is because the pool does act like a buffer to that. In addition, Dunwoody included, most counties look at
types of mitigation devices like flow wells, which are underground tanks that have space for that water to go to. On average, 1,000 square feet, and I don't have the calculation in front of me, can be treated with 4 barrels underground that's surrounded by gravel. We run the downspouts and maybe even the overflow from the pool into those. And with no additional visual, element above grade, we slow that water down even more than it is now. And so I did want to offer, even if we didn't do one of these underground systems and left the pool to its own devices, we're actually decreasing net the current impervious in regards to how much water is getting into that stream during a heavy rainfall. So does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, essentially. Comments, motions? Yeah, I think we need a deferral. We can just make a condition of approval. Yeah. All right, I need a question or a motion, guys.
I'll make a motion. So I move to approve the request for 2 variances. One from chapter 16, section 78, to allow pool retaining walls and associated improvements to encroach into the 75-foot stream buffer. And 1 variance from chapter 27, section 269, to allow a retaining wall to encroach into the side setback and retaining wall height up to 8 feet, subject to the following conditions. I'm going to say number 1, installing the 4 wells, or can we do that?
So I would encourage y'all then, if that's something that y'all consider, I would encourage y'all to defer the case to allow
Okay.
them to submit sort of an updated plan, because the construction would likely require sort of additional stream buffer encroachment, just because it'll likely take place within the stream buffer. And then we would love to have our civil engineer to take a look at that as well,
Okay.
to make sure that we have something that can be executed and that doesn't need to go back to y'all.
Okay. So. I renege. So could we just ask if they want to defer? Make the motion. I make a motion to defer.
Yeah, and then sort of once the motion, the second is sort of on the table, y'all can sort of instruct the applicant with the what to do for
Okay,
next month.
so should that discussion occur before that deferral motion is made? Should we discuss the terms about what we would like?
You can discuss it now still. too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so, I'll call the elephant in the room. I mean, seems like we just need more information about, seeing that on the actual diagram about how that would look, right? I mean,
Yes.
and how that would work, the expertise is
Yeah, I
in
don't
more
think it's- I
detail.
don't think it's fair to hold him to, or them to the 4 or whatever. He was just throwing out some examples. So you want to put those in conditions of approval either until it's been, more vetted.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's really the mitigation plan
Yeah.
for the 40% lot coverage, which is the impervious surface, which is where the hiccup is. So if we can get the applicant to address that,
Yep.
then as a deferral, then next month,
Yeah, I know it's not
or
convenient.
whenever they.
And it's not convenient for all parties necessarily, but it's important to note that we're not just adding a fence or anything here. This is a very big
Mhm.
project. You're adding a lot of impervious surface in a buffer, which is a,
Yeah.
you know,
And we've had other applicants that have come before us and in some discussions, they've added that into their plans. So this probably just didn't get caught that it would be important. If they, you know, if they had thought of it, if they'd had some discussions and had come to this conclusion, it might have been in the plans before they got here. So I think a deferral is the way to go.
So we have a, oh, you have a question? You had a
I'm-
motion for deferral.
Uh-huh.
We have it on the table. Do
Okay.
I have a second? Second. All those in favor of deferral? All right.
Aye.
So applicant will work with staff on mitigation strategies and potentially come up with another, you know, a revised plan for next month.
You want us to approve the retaining? Good. No, you want to do it all.
All at once. Yeah.
Just making sure. For the applicants.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Split the baby. Work to do.
All right. That's it for the cases this evening. Are there any other business? We do have an election. No other business? Yes, I'm aware of that. We're going back to organizational and procedural items. So it's that time of year again, guys. It's the most wonderful time of year. So we have every year, right? We nominate and vote for chair and vice chair. So I like the idea of mixing it up a little bit, potentially. We've got some new folks that may want to step into roles and some that may not want to step into roles, but we don't want to hold those back. But there might be, let's start with vice chair. Do we, Claire has expressed a desire not to retain her position. So we need a nomination for someone else to be vice chair.
You were doing a great job. I think, Mr. Chairman.
I'm chairman. Yes, you do
We're
better.
supposed to do the chairman vote first.
Uh,
And then
I was
do the
putting
vice
that
chair
off.
vote
Okay.
subsequently.
How do we need you in the room?
Thank goodness we have him. So no, first is chair. So we need either way, we need nominations for and against. So
I nominate Joe Tuttle to
Never
be
watched it.
chair of the zoning board.
it's like the
How about
firm
you?
did not leave.
All right.
Ah,
2 seconds.
One more year, guys. It's one more year. We're gonna find an apprentice here next. All right, that's okay. Chairman's been approved.
We have to approve, we have to vote
Got
you.
to vote.
Have you not watched TV? We have to vote you in.
So, trying to,
On the 10th ballot,
yeah.
Joe Tuttle.
All right.
Won't be the same.
So there's been a nomination for me to retain the chairmanship.
All right.
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Figured that. Okay. All right.
We also did Joe for vice.
Yeah, no. So now vice chair. This looks like it's gonna be a new position, which I'm excited about. Because Claire, I tried to twist her arm and because when I get some kind of crazy schedule change, I call her at the last minute and she steps in, but I know the next one will be just as accommodating. Many times. Yes, it's good. This is one of my favorite, but I'm not saying this, one of my favorite boards we've had. So we're gonna be in good shape moving forward, but I would love to see someone step up as vice chair. Okay, nominations are open. There you go.
I'll second that.
Second, all right.
Can I not vote for myself?
Yeah, sure.
You can recuse yourself, say, no, I prefer not to, but if you can.
I think you'll be great. Yeah,
I haven't done it.
I think you'll be,
One thing about this board is
Does anybody else
we
want
help
to do
each
it?
other.
Either the Ryans want to.
I mean, then when they post it, I'll do it, but I think she.
I am honored by the support, but I'm honored by the belief that you all think I can do a good job. I'm not sure I agree with that, but I will.
And
For the,
We
to serve
would-
my community. Yeah.
we would support you too, however we can be helpful.
Not walking in tonight expecting this, but I appreciate the support and. As my kids say, fine.
Well, let's see a little more. We want to,
I think you have to.
yes, we have a nomination on the floor. Yes, and acceptance, I think. All those in favor of Ellen becoming vice chair?
Aye.
It always works that way. No nays. Okay.
I am voting for Artie. He's been here.
Yeah, Artie's not here. All right, so we have a. Not Artie. Well, congratulations. We have a new, but the rest of the board remains intact. I don't think we have anybody rolling off this year, right? Yeah. Time flies, guys. Yeah.
For real.
I think the third year.
Yeah.
I don't think so. All right, lastly, we'll open up for public comment. There is no public comment, then this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.